go. Dance with me. Sorry about that.
Welcome to Read My Lips Radio, a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, akaRadioRed, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's akaRadioRed.
Thank you to the voice who gets me on the air. I'm akaRadioRed, and where else would I be on a Monday at 5 o'clock Eastern time, right here, my little corner of the world. Happy to be here with three very smart, very passionate, very compassionate, very savvy, and very gorgeous ladies I met at a recent National Publicity Summit. We do it virtually for the past couple of years, and I had about exactly 2 minutes on the clock, on a monitor's clock to meet them. So this is my chance to get to know them better. But it's May 11th, and ladies, before I introduce you, I have to tell you that today, May 11th in 1812, I hope you're all sitting down. Lisa, this is going to upset you the most, I think. The waltz was introduced in England's ballrooms, and the reaction was, it's a disgusting, immoral dance. I didn't want to upset you, Lisa, and this is for you, Karen. In 1949, on this day, Polaroid debuted the camera that took instant pictures. It cost $89.95. That's a heck of a lot of money. I don't know what that translates to today, but that's a long time. And this is for you, Anne. Comedy group Monty Python was formed today in 1968. I hope that all makes you all extremely happy. I have no idea why, but today is the birthday of Salvador Dali, who was born in 1904, the surrealist artist, and the composer Irving Berlin. White Christmas and so many wonderful songs was born today in 1888, and it's Hostess Cupcake Day and Craft Beer Day and World Cocktail Day. So we'll all go out and have one of those after the show. So now let me really introduce all of you. I'm delighted to have you here. So here we are on the Creativity Show, where real life stories take flight. Radio Red on her Scarlett Mic is streaming live and looking bright, I hope. The self-discovery of creativity. That's in all of your honor for all three of you. Take center stage today, where honesty, resilience, and reinvention are lighting the way. Anne Smith, wave hello. Karen Herrera, wave hello. And Lisa Skinner, wave hello, are joining the scene. Creatives who share their journeys deeply felt and keen. Our roundtable explores how creativity can guide us through, with courage, with humor and wisdom, perspectives heartfelt and true. And now I have a gift for each of you, and Anne, you're first, so here we go. Raised in Texas, where quiet daughters learn to softly stay unseen, Anne escaped through books and stories where imagination reigns supreme. While others play games outside, she climbed a tree with a book in her hand, discovering through written worlds new ways to understand. From English classes, drama stages, and pharmacy work each day, to legal offices and HR, where careers could find their way. At Dell, through high-growth years, then training teams with thoughtful care, and help people learn and grow through wisdom she would gladly share. Then, nearing 60, Anne chose courage over silent sacrifice, rewriting her long-held patterns to reclaim her own true life. Author of Gray Divorce, My Life Rewritten, she inspires others too, showing it's never too late to rediscover your own true you. Anne, I hope you enjoyed that.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Karen is next. Raised in Lake Jackson, Texas, with Irish and Hispanic flair, Karen learned there's always a way through every twist with care. From marching band and flute in hand to grocery checkout lines, she chased her goals with determination that always truly outshines. At UT Austin, skydiving soon became her thrilling art, with 850 jumps proving bravery lived deep inside her heart. From helicopters, hot air balloons, and even jets in flight, Karen embraced adventure with fearlessly pure delight. Through careers in business, finance, websites, and corporate scenes, ADHD at midlife finally clarified what her life really means. Author of Perimenopause Clarity, Turning Someday into Now Anew, with honesty and humor, Karen speaks what many women are living through. Karen, welcome. I hope you like that.
Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Welcome. And now it's Lisa's turn. In Marin County's quiet town where childhood stories grew, Lisa loved to write and hear old fables read anew. Her father, famed for courtroom skill, brought Aesop's tales to life using wisdom from those timeless stories through his own legal strife. Lisa's mother danced with elegance and played the piano with grace, while curiosity and compassion slowly found their place. Then a visit with her grandma changed Lisa's world one day, as dementia's painful shadows suddenly came into view that way. The heartbreak stayed as more loved ones would face the same disease, and understanding human behavior became Lisa's mission and her true keys. Authoring Truth Lies in Alzheimer's, Its Secret Faces, Lisa brings light, helping families face dementia with compassion, strength, and loving insight. Lisa, welcome.
Oh, that I love, love, love that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now I'm going to finish this part of the show. So gather round where the cool kids and the cool vibes sway. Ladies, I need you to sway as we dive deep into creativity. As we dive deep into creativity today. Radio Red's energy lights the way. And this is my favorite part. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. So, ladies, how did I do? What'd you think? You like it?
Love it.
Now you
Yes.
know, you know
Lump is
now.
still in the throat.
Now you know why I ask for your origin story instead of for your media bio. Because media bios are usually 4 or 5 very clever sentences that tell us a couple of highlights, keynotes of your life. I want to know everything, and that's what I use it for. So now you know, and I'm delighted to have you all here. And by the way, I did forget at the beginning to tell you exactly what day it is because this is very important. It's the 122nd day of the 2026 Gregorian calendar. Is anybody here a Libra like me? Anybody? Nope. Well, back in the day when it was the Julian calendar, Julian had a problem with October, it just kind of disappeared off the calendar every couple of years. So Gregorian came around before he was a pope, I think, and he said to his mom, Mama, I want to be a creative so that in hundreds of years, somebody named Radio Red sitting in a house in Tennessee with no wires is going to be able to talk about me and say I was an early creative. So Gregorian got his wish come true. So he said, we're going to have every 4 years a leap year, and we're going to add a leap day. We give October babies their birthdays back. And he did, and we do. 232 days are left. It's the 19th Monday, and nobody cares about that except me. Is anybody here with Taurus? Celebrated by the ram? Nobody? Okay. Well, their heart is fiery, and they're on the cusp of Pisces, and we'll just leave that one alone. So now, ladies, I would like to go through and have each of you tell us a little bit more about yourself. Ann Smith, I'm just delighted, and that blue velvet. I've had some blue velvet dresses at very important times in my life, and you're bringing back memories, my dear. I'm going to put you on speaker view, and I would like you to just give us a little more, fill in some more blanks, or just connect a few of the dots of what I said in your intro, and then we'll go around the table. So welcome, Ann.
Thank you so much. I think the biggest thing for me is I got to 60 and I had to connect the dots. That's what I needed to do. I needed to understand how I had gotten to the point that I had gotten to in my life and all of the decisions that I had made along the way. And that began a journey of self-discovery. And I strongly encourage everyone to go through that journey if they've never done that before. We get so wrapped up in the day to day and doing the job and the groceries and the cooking and whatever else that we do. And we forget who we are. We leave our dreams on the cutting room floor sometimes, and we forget to go back and revisit them. And so that was really what I started doing at 60 and rediscovering who I was at that point and some of the dreams that I had left behind.
And I know from the bio you sent me, and you mentioned that you basically had to end a marriage that had been 29 years, and it was a hard place to be, but you felt the need to do that. Some of us did that much earlier in our lives, much
Yeah,
earlier in our marriages. I was
yeah,
there. I was 27 and had 2 children and was living 3,000 miles from my family. And I had to
yeah.
say, enough. So I understand. Just tell me a little bit about a gray divorce. Is it a happy tale? Is there any humor in it? I'm not putting words in your mouth, but tell me who's your audience? Any age? Does it have to be a gray divorce?
It does not have to be, because what I tried to do in my book was share all of the lessons that I learned in that year of self-discovery. And so my hope is that regardless of age, that those life lessons resonate with people and can help them if they have lost their way, which is really what I felt like I had done. I felt like I had lost my way, and just be the light, holding the flashlight and helping other people find their way back to joy and passion. And it is a story of hope. It is not, one of the things that I do differently is I hold up the mirror. I don't point fingers. And so that was what I really took that work seriously and wouldn't have traded any of it for the world, because I'm in such a better place now, and I know who I am, and I love myself for probably the first time in my life.
We're happy for you. Very, very
Thank
happy
you.
for you. That's a very wonderful story. And the creativity comes in when you say, I need to do something else. And you create a
Yeah.
different life for yourself. I won't get all mushy gushy on you, but I understand. It's resonating. Karen, let's go to you. I'm putting you on
Yes.
speaker view, and I want to know who's that lady in the painting behind you, for goodness sake. Karen, tell us a
Oh,
little more
yeah.
about your story, please. Welcome.
Thank you. Wow. I will just start with the most recent story, which is how I became a published author after years and years and years of being too scared to put anything creative out into the world. Now, starting a business can be creative, or doing websites is creative, but that was not ever my true passion. My passion was always writing or observing life or reading others who observe life, Elizabeth Gilbert or even Tina Fey or David Sedaris, or all of these writers that you would read them and you would just feel empowered and love, and you could just kind of relate to them. And so after working on little articles here and there, and then going through the lovely transition of life, which is perimenopause into menopause, or while that was still happening, I went through a layoff after 6 years from a job I wasn't even that excited about. I was good at it, but it was just one of those things where, hey, the company was changing and a lot of us go through this. And I went, why am I still sitting on the sidelines and not going after my real passion? And I felt like the universe kind of lined up to get me out of that situation, gave me, even 6 weeks of severance, and I had a savings and things like that. There was really no reason to sit on the sideline ever again. So I did. I decided to go for it. I took a funny essay I was writing about this funny time in life and decided to turn it into a book to help other women tell it from our side and not the doctor's side or the nurse's side, which is what it seems like a lot of the books out there were about. So turn some humor into something helpful for other women. And now I am actively working on other types of works, even something, a fiction novel. So hey,
I
we
want
got
to
to start
know.
somewhere.
Well, good for you on the perimenopause. And I'm going to ask a silly question, maybe naive, maybe I just want to hear your answer. What is is there how long does it last, the peri part? Is it
Oh
typical?
my
Is it a
gosh.
year? Is it 6 months? Is it 10 years? What is it?
It's approximately 10 years. And I mean, I even thought that I was about to flip, and nope. Something happened that happens to us all around once a month or so, but changes in these last 6 to 7 years. Still haven't fully flipped. So it can last 10 years for some. It can start in the late 30s for some. It can start around 46 for others. We just don't really know. And we all start to feel a little nutso when it kind of starts to happen, because even in 2026, we're not getting a whole lot of education around it.
There you
So
go. And I'm
it's
glad you added
just,
humor, a woman's
yeah.
humor about a woman's
Oh,
deal. I didn't say issue, a woman's deal. There
right.
we go. It's
It's
something.
biology. It's
There
part of
you.
our life. It is not an issue. It can be challenging,
Yep.
but it causes you to also address what is really important in life, because this
Mm-hmm.
is one of those transitions, and go, if I'm not truly happy with what I'm doing, it's time to
Mm-hmm.
really start
Tell
going
me
for
about
it.
it. Yes.
So,
I have to
yeah.
make an editorial comment. The three of you have books about life changes. It's very rare for me to have three books that would fit into that topic, that element. I don't know how to describe it, but one is about divorce, one is about perimenopause, and one is about dementia. I don't think I've ever had those three topics on my show at the same time. And I was doing your intros and I said, how did this happen? I met these three fabulous ladies at the summit and said, are you free on May 11th? And they said, yes, 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 you're booked. And that was it. And I looked, I said, this is almost too perfect that the three
Yeah.
of you are together. And I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't say, oh, I know what Anne's going to do and we're going to save a spot for her. And Lisa's got to be in. I didn't do that. So the
It's
wheels of
kismet. It's the
it's
universe.
Kismet, it's car. I used to dance at a place called Kismet. Yeah, ballroom dancing was fun. Lisa, come and tell us a little more about yourself, please. It's your turn. I'm putting you on speaker view and welcome.
Okay. Well, you mentioned a little bit about my background in that brilliant, wonderful, heartfelt intro, that poem that you wrote, and it was just beautiful. So I guess the best way for me to explain my creativity path that brought me to where I am today is I followed my yellow brick road and searching for my Wizard of Oz. And it started, as you mentioned, when I was 16 and went to visit my grandmother. And she started telling me probably the most far-fetched stories I had ever heard in my life, not realizing that there was even anything wrong with her. Turns out she had been diagnosed with what they called back then senile dementia. And then I had 7 family members follow in her footsteps. So at an early age, I had been already introduced to 8 family members living with one of the brain diseases that causes dementia. And I had a dog that had doggy dementia.
What?
So it's starting to look like there's something that's really supposed to happen with me with all these things. And I worked in the industry for years, helping other families because I realized that so many people were struggling with this heartbreaking disease. And then one day I was called over to a client's house. She said, I just need to talk to you. My husband and I need to talk to you. We are desperate. So I went over there and I really didn't know what was going on with them. And turns out her father had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease about 2 years earlier. And her mother-in-law had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease about 2 years earlier. And they were both expressing their frustration with me. And then they just started picking my brain and asking me question after question after question after question. And after about 2.5 hours, she stopped me. Her name was Lisa, too. She stops me and she goes, Lisa, I just want to pause for 1 second and tell you that in the last 2.5 hours, you have seriously provided us with more information and helpful knowledge that we can actually apply to our day-to-day lives as it is continuing to move forward, dealing with these diseases, than we have been able to get from any other resource in the 2 years since our parents received this diagnosis. And the next thing that came out of her mouth was what really was my epiphany. And she said to me, you really need to write a book.
Yep. We knew that was coming. Yes.
Yeah. And she said, because
Yes.
you have so much experience and so much knowledge from both ends, professionally and personally. And people like us are desperate
Mm-hmm.
to hear this information. And she said, it would be selfish of you not to share what you know.
Well, excuse you.
Yeah, she literally said that to me. It would be selfish of you.
Yep.
So that was my aha moment. And it was like the next day, I put pen to paper and I started writing the book, my first book. And I had heard this from other people, and I was aware of it because I knew there were such limited resources available out there. But it was the way she asked me and presented it to me that I heard the desperation in her voice and just cemented what I already knew, that people were really struggling, trying to figure out how to get through life with a disease that can last 20, 30 years. And that was that she pushed my creativity button.
Listen, the old saw, necessity is the mother of invention. The three of you felt a necessity to share your knowledge, your stories, your compassion, and your passion for what you experience personally in your own bodies or in your families or the people you knew, and share it with other people. Still can't believe the three of you were on the show together. This just doesn't happen, and it did. This is something. My karma must be really good today. So thank you all for adding to your stories. Very important how we decide, how we wake up, right? And we wake up one day and we say, this isn't who I want to be, or this isn't the me I'm happy with, or I'm willing to settle with. It doesn't have to be a menopause issue or a divorce or a disease. It can just be every day. Say, I'm not living the life that makes me happy, and this isn't who I am. And I think that's the message we can take from all three of your shows over. No, we've got a lot more to do. Okay, so let's go to the opening. Oh, I didn't tell the three of you, this is a low budget show. I'm the green room warm-up comedian. If you don't get my sense of humor, you can turn off your camera now. Okay, there we go. I usually say that before the show. God forbid anybody who's watching would ever see that. We actually have, no, nobody's watching right now. It's a secret. We're going to promote the show after. So let's go to the quotes. I am going to read the quote you sent me and a little bit about the resource or the attribution. And Anne, by the way, you did tell me your name was Anne L. Smith. You want to tell us what the L is for?
Lydia.
Oh, what a pretty name. What a
Thank
pretty
you.
name. I had a teacher in 6th grade named Lydia Olson. I don't know why I'm mentioning that. It was at least a couple of days ago. Okay, let's go on. So you have picked a quote from Vivi Abbott Walker, played by the wonderful Ellen Burstyn. The movie is The Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood. It's a 2002 comedy drama film based on Rebecca Wells's 1996 novel and its 1992 prequel collection of short stories, Little Altars Everywhere. Sandra Bullock, Ellen Burstyn, Angus McFadden, James Garner, what? Maggie Smith, what? Shirley Knight, Sherry Jones. I picked the names that I knew. What a cast. 4 little girls in the woods at night take a blood oath of loyalty to one another, and then they surface again when one of them needs them. We'll leave it at that. So here is the quote Anne has selected, said by Vivi, played by Ellen Burstyn. I take a problem and chew on it till all the flavor's gone, and then stick it in my hair. Oh my goodness, if that isn't a visual quote. Anne, how in the world did you find it, and what does it have to do with your creativity? Talk to us.
That quote has stuck with me for years. It's one of my favorite movies. But for me, I am an overthinker. I overanalyze. I can get stuck doing that sometimes. And it can get in the way of my creativity, and it can also boost my creativity. So I have to entertain it sometimes, and sometimes I have to turn it off because I can get wrapped around the axle with it if I'm not careful.
Okay. And tell me something, when you use that, what is the chewing gum? What is the metaphor for? What is it? Is it just getting an idea for a book or something you're doing that you stick with it?
Yeah, what sticks with me about that is when you have, because I do write fiction, when you have
Mhm.
those characters and they start to come to life, you've got to keep those characters in the front of your mind. And every time you're switching between characters, you have to go back to, okay, who am I now? And so just having that stuck in your hair, stuck in your mind is the most helpful
I
thing.
like that. You write fiction. What kind of fiction?
I do write fiction. It's considered mainstream. Yeah. I don't have anything published yet, but I am going to change that.
Okay, you'll stay in touch with me when you get to that point.
Absolutely.
Okay, Karen is next. Karen, You're going to give us the word, but the quote is from Inigo Montoya, played by the wonderful Mandy Patinkin. Oh, what an actor and singer he is. Speaking to Vizzini, played by the wonderful Wallace Shawn. The movie, of course, is The Princess Bride, an fantasy adventure comedy film from 1987, directed and co-produced by the late wonderful Rob Reiner, starring Cary Elwes, I never know how to pronounce his last name, Robin Wright, Mandy Patinkin, Andre the Giant, Chris Sarandon, Christopher Guest, Wallace Shawn, Peter Falk, Fred Savage, Billy Crystal, and Carol Kane. What a cast. Adapted by William Goldman from his own novel, the story of a swashbuckling farmhand named Wesley, accompanied by companions he befriends along the way, who must help him rescue his true love, Princess Buttercup, from the odious Prince Humperdinck. The film preserves the novel's metafictional narrative style by presenting the story as a book, being read by a grandfather, played by Peter Falk, to his sick grandson, played by Fred Savage. Okay, and here's the quote, and you're going to give us the word. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Karen, what's the word?
Inconceivable.
There you go. Inconceivable.
Inconceivable.
One of the best quotes in the world, other than we're going to need a bigger boat. So tell us, what does inconceivable have to, Ann, what does it have to do with your creativity, Karen?
So really, the line that I always loved was, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. And I crack jokes all the time. And if I hear somebody talking about something and maybe they're going a little bit on a rant, it really doesn't matter what it could be. I will just look at them and try to lighten the mood and go, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. And then they'll look at me funny, and because I try to bring light to a situation. So it wasn't really inconceivable that does that. But I think what it means for my writing is I try to find a light in any situation. And by me saying that to whomever, no matter what they're talking about, to try to lighten the mood a little bit, that's what I try to do for my reader. Even if it's something a little dark, like I don't know what's going on in my head right now, but if I talk about how I'm looking for my phone all over my house, yet it's right in my hand while I'm looking for it, as to talk about menafog, right? Then I'm bringing a little bit of funny light to a situation that can help other people relate to something. So I know it's a long way around to say it's not really inconceivable and it's not really that quote, but it's just always been me to come to somebody and try to lighten a mood. And I do that with my friends, and then they'll, oh, ha, ha, and they'll roll their eyes, but it will just break the little tension of something they might have been going down a weird train on. So, but that's how I do it with my writing too, especially if I'm talking about something a little bit deeper, or these existential questions of what am I doing, but then what am I doing? Well, I'm doing what I was supposed to do because that's what I was told we were supposed to do. And it's okay, but now I get to do something else, and let's make a funny spin on it. So it's really just about
I can use the word
timing.
It's inconceivable that all three of you would be on my show at the same time. It's inconceivable that you would write about what you're writing about, Karen, because you didn't think about it. Lisa, inconceivable that would happen to you and you'd be writing about it. And Anne, whoever thought you would do what you did after 29 years and you would write a book about it. So we're calling this the inconceivable creativity.
Inconceivable.
I should have called, instead of self-discovery, I should have called this the inconceivable creativity. There you go. Thank you very much. Very well done. Lisa has picked a quote that's stated by Alice, played in 1951. I'll tell you the movie in a second, played by Catherine Beaumont. In the Alice in Wonderland movie, it was the Disney film. And it was also said by Alice in the 2010 Alice in Wonderland, produced by Tim Burton. And the character was played by Mia Wasikowska. I hope I said that right, which was a live action film. So the quote appears in various film adaptations, including both of the films I just mentioned. And by the way, Catherine Beaumont, who played Alice in 1951, was only 10 years old, Lisa, when she started in the production. Interesting. And she was also the live action model for the character, acting out scenes to provide reference for the animators in the film. At age 10, she became a Disney legend in 1998. She was named. So there you go. And and Mia played the 19-year-old Alice and all kinds of things in the movie. So here is the quote Lisa has selected. I knew who I was this morning, but I've changed a few times since then. Oh, Lisa, I can, it's not inconceivable that I would have said that myself. Lisa, how did you find this and what does this have to do with your creativity? Go.
We probably picked up by now that I learned at a very early age because of my dad always asking me to bring Aesop's fables home from my elementary school library. And he actually used the stories when he was litigating cases in court because he was trying to find ways that people could relate to him getting his point across. And I learned that. So I kind of adapted the same thing because that's really how people do connect the dots and wrap their heads around a point that, some of us are trying to make is when they can relate it to something that's familiar or they really understood. So one of the common denominators that I realized early on in my career as a behavioral specialist, working with these thousands of families going through a dementia experience, was very few people really clearly understood what was happening to their loved ones as this disease was ravaging their brains. And I was always trying to find a way to come up with something that they could relate to what it must be like to live with cognitive decline. And I was reading my granddaughter when she was little, Alice in Wonderland, because it's one of all of our favorite fabled stories. And as I'm reading this to her, as an older person and to, a young child, as I'm reading the whimsical journey that she went through, it was reminding me of what people really must go through when they live with cognitive decline and they're losing all of their senses. So that kind of gave me, the light bulb went off, and then I ended up doing a TED Talk. And I created a story paralleling what it's like to live with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia to Alice in Wonderland so the audience could make that connection. And it was extremely successful. And I've had so many people, I've done lots of talks using that analogy and the Alice in Wonderland metaphor story as a way for people to relate to her going on this, topsy-turvy and all the weird things that she encountered. Yep. And a lot of people say, gosh, now I finally get it. I understand.
That's very clever, very, very clever, very creative to come up with a cultural icon, Alice in Wonderland, a cultural, I'm trying to, a touchstone, if you will, that people can say, oh yeah, I remember this. Oh yeah, somebody told, oh, I read that when I was a kid. Oh yeah, I know, I saw the movie. Oh yeah, I like the later one better than the early one. Oh, I wasn't alive when and you're just pinging their brain and their sense of culture and saying this has something to do with that. Very, very well done. Very, very nice. Thank you, ladies, for the quotes. I really appreciate it. On my shows, I used to let people quote anybody in history. If you knew how many Maya Angelou and Winston Churchill and Walt Disney quotes I got after a while, I could recite them all by heart. So about 5 years ago, I said on all my shows, it has to be a fictional quote. It can't be by a real person like somebody on stage. It can't be from the book. It's got to be a character in a book or a movie or something. And it just changed the whole being able to say, what is your touchstone? What's important to you that you could relate to us from a cultural standpoint? And so I appreciate the three of you coming up with that. So now, Lisa, you can also say inconceivable. You can add that quote to your, Alice in Wonderland. I was different in the morning than I afternoon, and it's inconceivable, which it is. Okay, enough me. Okay, so let's go to the roundtable part of the show, and I've picked one and a half, two and a half of your creativity statements. I'm going to read a little bit from what you sent me, and I'd like you to unpack it. 2 to 3 minutes will be fine. And then I'm going to ask Karen and Lisa, or whoever wants to speak first, just wiggle one of your fingers at me. I will see you, and let's see if this resonates with you. So Anne says, I'm an author. I've written both fiction and nonfiction. I get up early, 5 a.m. I write for an hour and a half. Then I get ready for work. I need quiet to write. I don't listen to any music. And then she says if she's hitting a writing block and it's light outside, she goes for a walk to clear her head, and the creativity starts again. And she finds inspiration for stories everywhere. That's for the fiction part. So, Anne, tell us a little bit more, please. Any of the above. I found it very interesting. Please go.
So just like with Karen, she said that she had always had a passion for writing and didn't do anything with it. I was the same way. And life flies by, and suddenly you're staring down the barrel of 60 thinking, what the heck just happened? So I knew I was not going to miraculously find the time or get more time. I had to carve it out. And I started realizing that I was wasting a lot of time in the evenings with doom scrolling and mindlessly watching TV and relaxing doing that. And so I started going to bed early and getting up early. And I found that that was my most creative time. I don't know if it's maybe because you are coming from a dream state and your mind is more open and more active, but it was very helpful to me to get up. The house was quiet, nobody else was up, the coffee pot was on, and the writing just happened. There are times that it doesn't cooperate, but you have to have the routine. You can't just do it when the muse is in. Your butt has to be in the seat, like Stephen King says. So that was the best time for me, was writing early in the morning. And like anybody who's creative, I'm sure whether you're an artist or a writer or a musician, you do hit those blocks and you try to get past them. And what I found was the harder I tried, the worse it got. So if I would just get up and get away from the computer, go for a walk, I find being out in nature extremely helpful to me. It calms me down, it gets me out of my own head, and I start seeing things around me, and it just clicks. Things just start coming back in. And if it's too dark to go walking, then the rocking chair on the porch with a cup of coffee and listening to the early morning sounds of the world waking up, it does the same thing for me.
Thank you. Lovely. Karen, you want to go first? Any thoughts about writing early in the morning, clearing your head, and any of
Oh,
that?
wow. So I'm not an early morning writer. I am one of those people that I I read the same books. Yeah, on writing, Stephen King. I wrote, oh my gosh, I wrote that,
Yeah.
read that 15 years ago, right? Going,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And you got to get your butt in the seat. But
Yep.
I get in this, okay, I like to exercise at this time. I have my coffee and I kind of sit and I do something with a cat and then I'll get out. But if I don't do those things first, then that will sit on my mind and then I won't be able to get anything creative out. So I need to do my little other routine first,
Hmm.
then whether, exercise or whatever it is. Yes, get outside too. Oh my gosh. I'm addicted. We'll go into this. Anyway, yes
Orderly,
and
very
no.
orderly. Okay.
Yeah, but
Well,
it has to be a kind of little order or else it's
interesting.
gone.
You
Yeah.
have your checklist of what you have to do. Lisa, thoughts on that? Anything resonate with you?
Kind of happens differently for me than what Karen and Anne described. I don't set a time to really do things like that because I found it didn't really work for me. It's almost like I was having to force myself to be creative, and I realized that creativity doesn't come through me that way.
Hmm.
So um, it comes to me when it comes to me. And I agree with what Anne was saying, that the harder you try to think of things, the harder it gets. You get the block. So I don't try to think of it. And they just come to me spontaneously, like the whole Alice in Wonderland experience, just reading my granddaughter that book.
Mm-hmm.
So ideas and creative substance can come to me any time of the day, any hour of the night. And sometimes it wakes me up with an idea and I
Yep.
will just write it down. And
Yep.
that's kind of my MO.
Yep.
They come to me and I just
When they
always have a
come,
pen and a paper or something
when
that
they come, and the voice recorder on the phone. I want to move on. Thank you, Anne. Great. And Anne, I have to ask you: is that a puppy dog or a cat in the crate behind you? Who is that?
That is Mia, and she's about 15 and a half or 16 years old. She's a little Chihuahua and Winnie dog.
Okay,
Yeah,
she hasn't moved much. I know she's very well behaved. And
she's
I
very
have to.
quiet. Yeah.
And Karen, what is that picture behind you,
Yes.
please? That fabulous woman.
Yes.
What is that?
Yes, she is called Firewoman. A good friend of mine is an artist. And whenever she did this, I knew I really wanted her. And so,
Wow,
but
wow.
yes, it's a
That is
beautiful,
really something.
yes.
And I'm
I know.
looking at
And
the
then
hand.
whenever I first met you, I was like, and this is you that she painted, and she didn't even know she was painting you. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. And Lisa, what is that gorgeous something behind you? Is it a plate? Is it a couch? What is that? I'm looking at a horse and roses. And what is that tableau? Is that a chaise or what is it?
it's a plate that my mother had sent from Italy. She found it in Italy and she had it sent back to
Beautiful.
California. And I ended up with it and I just absolutely love it. She was, just had exquisite taste and she
I
was
would
always
say,
looking for really unusual things and
yeah,
actually had quite a few pieces sent from Italy and France.
very, very
And I
pretty.
ended up with them.
Very beautiful. I see the artistry in the painting. My mother used to collect hand-painted lamps years ago, and we had one with roses on right on the glass, and it was just gorgeous. And it reminds me, the horse and whatever I'm looking at reminds me of that. See, I noticed these things in the background. So thank you for explaining. I appreciate that. And I'll just tell all of you that one day, about 8 years ago, I decided I wanted to be a playwright and I had no idea what to do. So I Googled how do you write a play, Playwriting 101, and I found a downloadable Word document that was free for anybody. And I took it and I put it into my own document. It told me how to set up a scene, how to describe the characters, how to say curtain up, curtain down, what size font to use, how to do the spacing, the letting in between the spaces. And for 3 nights, I wrote from 1 to 4 in the morning, and I was working full time in a marketing job in New York somewhere. And I wrote my first play, and I had my TV show, Something to Talk About, at that time on Great Neck, Long Island Cable. And I knew a bunch of community actors, and I said, I'll make a deal with you. I know you're all doing plays all over Long Island. If you'll come and act in my play, I'll direct, I'll tweak the characters for your personality, but you don't have to memorize anything. I'll put teleprompters in front of each of you, hidden out of range. You'll be sitting on a bench in an empty studio with a green screen, and we will project the background of where you're supposed to be in front of Penn Station, getting into a cab on a date, a mystery date when you met online with numbers and letters. And are you 82495.3? And they were wearing Groucho glasses and noses in the play. And I had to buy all that stuff. And the cab driver was sitting on a bench in front of them. And I bought a plastic steering wheel for him. And he was doing this. And it was so fun that two of the actors wanted to come back and do it. We put a blonde wig on the woman who did the female character, and somebody else played the cab driver. So I did it twice. I'll send you all the link. But it was 3 days, 3 nights. And I have to tell you that my characters told me who they were, Lisa, what they looked like, what they sounded like, what they ate, how they dressed, what their moods were. And I linked it to Y2K and just before and after in 3 segments 10 years apart in their lives. And it just was there. It was just there. I was channeled and I was
Yeah.
it just happened. So talk about when creativity strikes. I just got in the mood and I did the damn play. I did 3 more anyway. I'll send you links if you'd like to see them. Let's go to Karen. I'm looking at the clock here.
Okay.
Karen says, everybody's going to love this one. My ideas show up in the shower or while I'm climbing my stairs, as if my brain only cooperates when my body is in motion. And you also say inspiration could strike whether you're at home in quiet focus or perched at a crowded restaurant bar for hours, okay, or hidden in plain sight with your laptop and a glass or two of wine. What's your favorite wine, Karen?
Oh, actually, Jordan will like this. You're an engineer. It was Jordan Chardonnay. In fact, I used to have a cat that I named Jordan after the Jordan Chardonnay wine.
There you go, Jordan. I didn't know you had
Mhm.
a wine. I want a bottle,
Mhm.
Jordan, when you get ready, if
Yes.
it's your company. Karen, just take about 2 minutes and tell us what is this about ideas in the shower and climbing the chairs? Climbing the stairs. I haven't heard that one before. Go.
Yeah, so that is, I think it's just because your mind is free associating. And I know that I've heard other creatives talk about that too. You're in the shower, you're just there, your mind's free associating, and then bam, 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 and then you got to jump out and grab the first thing you can and just write it down or grab your phone and voice text it right in there. And so that has happened numerous times. And I know if, and I feel like that is something channeled right through me. I got to get it out right now, and I better put it somewhere and eventually come back to it and really then just start free associate, just really just go with it. And then because yes, I have this weird thing, I'm addicted to climbing stairs, not Stairmaster. No, 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 actual stairs. So whenever I'm in motion, I'm doing that. I will have music on, but I will keep it on low. It's like the ambient noise of that, and then just the motion. I will start getting ideas as well. And every time I have to, hey Siri, expand on this idea and take these notes down while it happens. And some of it, I will go, oh my gosh, this is greatness. But it's not, I have no idea where it came from.
Yep.
But it is just the being a body, it's almost like the body of motion stays in motion kind of thing, but it also has to do with where the flow is coming to. I think once we are in any kind of physical flow state,
Yeah. It's
then
powerful.
everything comes.
It is
That's just
powerful.
been my experience.
I
So.
think a lot of people share that. Anne, any thoughts on what Karen just shared?
Well, I totally understand the in motion part because when I get stuck, that's what I do is start walking or go outside and look at the stars in the early morning. So the motion part definitely helps me get unstuck. Yeah.
Lisa, anything you want to add?
I get a lot of my ideas, the kind of what Karen was saying, the free association when I listen to songs and read books and things out of movies, because I'm always thinking about what I do professionally, and I look for ways to help people understand through association and storytelling.
Thank you very much. Good prompts there, Karen. Thank you for
Mhm.
that. I've had other guests who talk about getting ideas in the shower too.
Mhm.
I just wake up with ideas. I started a show on January 1st. It's now week 19. I do 5 a week, every weekday morning. It's called Say What? Good News. And it's 4.5 minutes every day. And I'm going to play the outro music at the end of the show, which is in about 7 minutes for all of you to dance with me, and you'll hear it. But I spend my weekends researching about 20 good news stories all over the web, from newsletters, wherever. And then I create a PowerPoint with 4 stories, an opening and a closing with the birthdays and the holidays, the funny holidays on those dates, that date. And then I do shout outs to my friends. And I can do it in under 5 minutes every day. But I woke up one day in December and I said, I need a new show. I already have 60 series I've started, including mostly business. But I said, I need a new show. It has to be under 5 minutes, and I have to do it by myself without a guest, without a co-host, without telling somebody what I need them to do. And it just appeared. And people are coming out of the woodwork I haven't heard from in years, and they're finding it through their feeds on LinkedIn. That's where they're finding it. Very, very interesting. But it just came to me, and I don't know if it was in the shower or when I was walking. I don't walk a lot, or eating chocolate. That's probably where it came from. Lisa, we have talked about your creativity statements already. You talk about the unexpected aha moments. You talked about sometimes in the middle of the night, you'll wake up with a brilliant idea and you write it down. You've talked about your inspirations in obscure places like the Alice in Wonderland story. And is there anything else you'd like to add briefly? I'm looking at the clock. We have about 6 minutes. So, Lisa, anything else you'd like to add about your creativity for the other ladies to respond to? Go.
Um, Gosh, I think I covered pretty
Yeah.
much where it kind of the current flows through me and
Yeah.
how it all happens. But it's not, I guess the only thing I can emphasize is it's not forced.
Yes.
Trying to force it just does not work for
It does
me.
not work. I don't think it works
Yeah.
for anybody. Question, does do any of you use a dictation system where you talk into your, I know, Karen, you said you talk to Siri, taking notes, but is anybody actually writing? Because I subscribe to a lot of author help things and I don't watch most of, they're all selling something. But anyway, this woman was talking about, she realized she had her phone in her pocket and she was in the kitchen, and while she was making something, she had her phone on record mode, and she recorded an hour and a half, which was 3 chapters in her book. And I haven't met too many people who do that. She didn't give the clue to how you do it because you had to buy a webinar for that. But is anybody using a recording system to speak? No.
I think the closest I come to that is sometimes I'll grab my phone that's on my nightstand next to my bed and I'll put it in notes. But
Yeah.
I'm just kind of a manual writer, I guess.
Yeah, I think so too. And is anybody using are you handwriting? Is anybody using pen and paper still? Ah,
I do journal. I don't write my books that way, but I do journal with pen and paper. Yeah.
okay. And what, 4 minutes to close. Thank you, Jordan. Lisa, you write by pen. Do you have a special book you write in?
No, I'll just grab any pen and paper I can find so I can get the thought out and not forget it.
Sticky notes are important for that. Ladies, I want to read some quotes to you and thank you for all of your input. I appreciate it. And then we're going to go out in about 3 minutes. So I've collected quotes over the years, and this one I think the 3 of you will enjoy. This is from Canadian author Lucy Maud Montgomery. You've probably heard of her. She wrote Anne of Green Gables. And you're going to love chapter 19. The title of the chapter was or is A Concert, a Catastrophe, and a Confession. And we could add, Karen, inconceivable. And here is the quote she wrote. Something just flashes into your mind, so exciting, and you must out with it. If you stop to think it over, you spoil it all. That's spontaneity, right, ladies? That's just let it flow. We know that Rapunzel, played by Mandy Moore in the 2010 3D computer animated musical adventure fantasy comedy film. Have you ever heard so many genres put together? I don't know how they did it. They couldn't make up their mind. Mandy Moore played Rapunzel, and she said, venture outside your comfort zone. The rewards are worth it. Haven't we all experienced that, ladies? You never knew you would be doing this and talking about this. And of course, the Rolling Stones, 1969, you can't always get what you want, but if you try, sometimes you'll get what you need. And my favorite, Glinda the Good Witch of the North, played in the original Wizard of Oz in 1939 by an actress named Billie Burke. You had the power all along, my dear. There you go. And David Byrne, who was on a talk show, Stephen Johnson's How Ideas Happen podcast. He's the Talking Heads frontman. I think he has a birthday yesterday or today or tomorrow. He says, sometimes I have the title of a song that comes and I write it down. And I go to myself, expand on that. I think there's something there. I need something to start with. It's hard to start from nothing. I'll accumulate these very little beginnings. And when I come back, I have something to build on. And I think that's what we've been talking about. And ladies, I'm going to read to you I'm a poet. I belong to an online poetry group. July 24th, 2024, I wrote this acrostic. An acrostic is where you take the letters of a word and put them down the page and you write something after them. And the prompt from the moderator was night shift, NIGHTSHIFT. And I dedicate this to 3 of you. Never quite really at rest. It's the life of a creative, going, gripping, gyrating, growling, groaning, growing, highs and lows, flowing on a mental Mobius strip. The days are the nights are the days again, shifting off and on, into and out of gear, hoping for unique brilliance even once. It's a calling, command, curse, roller coaster, finding eureka, euphoria amid frustration and fears. Thus is the life of the creative. Hope you enjoyed that. I like to write silly acrostics. I'm the class clown in the poetry group. Everyone wants to write really serious stuff, and I come out with the funny things, and that's okay. Now, let's see. I'm looking at the clock here. We got to close. So in 2010, ladies, stay around. We'll talk afterwards, please. In 2010, I closed my show with the top 10 tips for women, talk about keeping stuff around. And the first one, 10 years before the movie, was aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. There you go. And the number 8 was don't get your knickers in a knot. It just makes you walk funny. And number 9 was when life gives you lemons, just make lemonade and add vodka. And here's the final closing. Jordan, we're almost done. Life is short. Break the rules. I do. Forgive quickly. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Kiss slowly. Yes. Love truly, of course. Ladies, laugh with me uncontrollably. 1, 2, 3. Don't hurt yourself. And never regret anything that made you smile. Final words. Work like you don't need the money. Dance like no one's watching. When I taught disco in high heels in a high school cafeteria with 250 students on top of a Formica table, and I said, build me a stage. They did. Sing like, and I never fell. Sing like nobody's listening. I didn't sing today. And love like you've never been hurt. Let your heart regrow, regroup, regenerate, and love again. Money talks, chocolate sings, la. And last but not least, and I stole this line from somebody, thank you for turning me on. And let's go out with our closing song here. Okay, this is the music from my new show, Say What? Good News. Join me, ladies. I'll send you the link. You can watch it. It's coming. It has words. I did the music too. Morning coffee. Decaf, please. I don't need any caffeine. You know? Same old drama. Same old feed. Hit that dial. It's what I need. Let those bad vibes fade. Bright headlines on a new day. Hit play. Good news. We talk it out. Let's lift the mood. Hey, what? Good people doing what they do. That's the three of you. Feel that smile coming through? Say what?